Me, Prelude99, and today we are talking about the Kyosho Fast and Furious 118 scale and 112 scale of vehicles. So I found out about this a couple of days ago, and I was debating if I should talk about it on the channel because normally I talk about Hot Wheels stuff, but this was so cool that it kind of made me want to talk about it because I do intend on picking this one up. Uh, I think I'm going to pick up both of them, the Supra and the Dodge Charger. We'll get to that a little bit later, but right now I want to talk about the Supra. So, this is the 118 scale Toyota Supra from Fast and Furious, the first movie. And, you know, there's a lot of 118 scale Fast and Furious vehicles out there. You have the one from Jada, and you have the Ertl, the ETRL, or I call him Ertl. I don't know if anyone else calls him that. But then you have the original 118 scale Fast and Furious vehicles that came out in the early 2000s. I call them Ertl. Someone might call them something else. I may have just made myself look stupid, but I usually get those. I actually have the Dodge Charger from Ertl. I bought it like years ago, and the problem with buying older, the problem with buying older 118 scale model cars is that sometimes the paint starts to bubble up, and there's really nothing you can do about it. Some people keep their 118 scale vehicles in a humid basement, and there's really nothing you can do about it. So that really sucks. So, of course, the Ertl vehicles, they are really expensive, like maybe 200, 250, depending on which one you want to get. Um, so, yeah, it's very expensive. And then you have this one, which is a brand new one from Kyosho, which is a brand I'm very familiar with. I'm familiar with their RC cars. I didn't know they made 118 scale vehicles, but they do. And this one actually looks pretty cool. Yeah, you have the Ertl American Muscle Fast and Furious vehicles, which are great, but you always have to watch out for ones that have aged poorly. Because these models are so old, the Ertl American models, they have bubbling in the paint. Sometimes they have broken plastic pieces. That's kind of the hardship of purchasing older 118 scale vehicles. I purchased the Ferris Bueller's Day Off 250 GT California Ferrari, and the grill literally fell off. I had to glue it back into place, and there was a whole bunch of like bubbles in the paint. If you guys know any remedies to fix that, let me know. But this one looks really, really cool. It looks very, um, it looks it looks amazing. I have the Jada 118 scale Toyota Supra, and it is nowhere as accurate as this one is. This one looks extremely accurate. Lens headlights. You have that intercooler in the front. Accurate body kit. You have all these brands, which I'm assuming they're the right brands from the movie. This one looks fantastic. Now, this might be a hot take. I'm not a huge fan of Brian's Supra. Um, it's not my favorite Fast and Furious car. My favorite Fast and Furious car, if you were to ask me, would have to be the Fast and Furious 2009 Nissan Skyline, the blue one. That's my favorite one, if I were to pick one. But this one is really good. I like this one. It also has the windows. I don't know if those can move up and down. I'm not entirely sure. It looks like the windows can go up and down. Oh, yeah, it could. That's interesting. So this model is going to cost $280. That's, depending on who you ask, that's a pretty steep price. But for someone like me, I love 118 scale. I like to display them. I plan to display them in my studio downstairs, not here. This is my recording area where I can do my before you buys or your everything you know videos. Uh, but yeah, no, I really want to get this one. This one is really accurate to the movie. Again, it's not my favorite Fast and Furious car. My favorite one has to be the blue R34 Skyline, just because it just looks so modern. Uh, but yeah, no, this is the Kyosho 118 scale Fast and Furious at $280. If you ask me, I don't think the price is that ridiculous because when you think about the different options that are out there, the only brand that I know of that I think has a really, really good, that has really good detailing is the Ertl American Muscle. However, that's debatable. Because I think the Earl American Muscle, like on retail, but when they came out back in whatever time, it was not like $250. This is just the inflated prices. Uh, I think they used to cost maybe like $40. Someone who's been there at the time, because this was before my time, let me know how much those cars originally were. But now they're at an inflated price. And then you had the Jada ones, and no offense to Jada, but Jada feels like a toy. It doesn't really have that high end collector feel. So I could definitely look up 1/18 scale Fast and Furious Toyota Supras, but then uh, I feel like there's going to be some third party brands. I'm going to look that up just to be 100% sure, so that way I'm giving you guys the full scoop. I'm not just talking out of my butt. But this is what the engine looks like. This is insane. Look at this. It looks just like it did in the movie when they were assembling the engine. I remember the behind the scenes, like it was a deleted scene when they were literally putting the 2JZ together. Everything was like made out of chrome. This is insane. Look at the detail. The battery, you have the battery hold down, that bar that holds the battery down. Why can't I think of it? Why can't I think of the name? I think it's the battery hold down strap. I believe that's what it's called. Of course, people are going to roast me in the comment section for not knowing what that is. I'm already seeing the comment section roasting me for not knowing what this thing is. That's going to haunt me until the end of this video. But you have all these gauges, and you have like the interior seats that look really well done too. Like this car looks insane. And then you have like the NOS tanks in the back. That's also really cool. Lens taillights as well. And you have the yellow roll cage within. Yeah, look at this. This isn't the detail on this is insane. So I can already tell you that, after this thing sells out, I can guarantee you that this is probably going to be resold at a high volume. I say a high volume. This is going to be resold at a high price. Not saying that this is going to get scalped, but I know this is one of those models that are really high quality, high detail, and I just have a feeling that it's going to be very, very valuable in the future. You also have the Targa top, which is also a really nice thing that they included. I didn't even notice that when I was like looking at the detailing of the car. So here's underneath. Look at this. This is amazing detail. Obviously, I believe. Wow, you can even have the rear differential. That is sick. That is actually sick. Um, yeah, you even have like the piping of the intercooler. This is insane. I believe the steering wheel can turn. So you have like a posable steering on this guy. Yeah, you do. You do. See how it's the wheel slightly turned? And you have the disc brakes as well. This thing is a highly detailed model for $280. It's a 1/18 scale. Um, Honestly, I think it's worth it just because of how much details packed into this thing. I mean, yeah, you can get the Jada 1/18 scale Toyota Supra, but it's nowhere near as detailed as this thing. Nowhere near as detailed. I am a stickler for details, and this car has a lot of details. I really do appreciate it. I am a fan of the first movie, and just looking underneath the car, just how much detail it has, like this is not cheap. This doesn't look cheap to me. This looks like a very high-end model, like auto art. Uh, I would pick this up if I had the money laying around. I don't. So we're gonna talk about the Dodge Charger. I believe it's the 1970 Dodge Charger, Dom's Charger from the first movie. All right, so now we're gonna talk about the Kyosho 1970 Dodge Charger RT from Fast and Furious, and I have the Earl American Muscle Dodge Charger from like the early 2000s. I still have it in its box. Yeah, I still have it in its box. Usually I have it up there on the wall, but it's not. But this thing looks so good. So there's a few models out there of the 1970 Dodge Charger. Obviously, Jada has licensing with Fast and Furious. They have, I believe they have many different variants of the Dodge Charger throughout the franchise. But they never really have the one from the first movie. The one from the first movie is a special one because it has the square headlights that you can see and has that big blower. All the other variants never really had that. It was always like a different variation. But this one looks really really good, especially the tires on it too. Um, so I have the Ertl American Muscle, and the paint is starting to bubble on that. So that's a big fat bummer. But this one looks very well detailed, very very well detailed. Wow. It even has the trunk can open up too, and you have the I believe that's the fuel system, and you have the battery in the back. Look at the suspension. This is just highly detailed. Very, very highly detailed. You have all the wiring inside. That is insane. This is a lot of detail. And even in the front, you have the gauges, the steering wheel, and you have the gear shift boot. It's really well detailed as well. Everything is just paneling inside because, again, this car was just made to be a missile. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This looks insane. Oh my goodness. That is insane. I love that. So you have the drag slicks in the back because, again, this is supposed to be a 10-second car. Well, not this one. The Supra is a 10-second car. My apologies. I know there's a lot of Fast and Furious fans are going to be mad at me for getting it wrong. But this is insane. So this was, in the movie, it was a drag car. Well, this was the car that Dom's dad built. And in the movie, Dom was afraid to drive it, but now it's like, it's iconic. You can't have Dom without this thing. It's been a while since I saw the first movie, so I'm probably gonna have to rewatch it. But dude, this is insane. The amount of detail on this thing, it's insane. Like I know it's $280, just like the Supra. So this thing is not cheap, but for the amount of detail you get in this car, it's actually I think it's warranted for that price, if you ask me. Um, because you have the Hot Wheels Elite version, which is like $200 as well, and it's nowhere near as detailed as this. Like you can open the trunk, the doors, the hood. Underneath the car is extremely well detailed. Like I know people complain about, oh, I wouldn't pay that much money for this, but this is extremely well detailed. Like I don't know anything on the market that is as detailed as this for a cheaper price. If you can find me something like that, please let me know. I'm gonna try looking um, on eBay. I'm gonna try looking on other places because Fast and Furious is like one of the most popular franchises, and there's plenty of brands that make different 118 scale vehicles. I believe Ertl American Muscle was like one of the first brands. But yeah, no, this is really, really well detailed. Like you put this on your shelf, it demands attention. That's I feel like I'm more inclined to get this one over the Supra just because of how mean this thing looks. My goodness. Wow. All right. We are going to look at we're going to look at the 112 Skyline from Too Fast to Furious. Okay, so we're looking at the Kyosho 1989 Nissan Skyline GTR R34 from Too Fast Too Furious. This is a 1/12 scale model, so it's relatively big. I have a Back to the Future DeLorean that is a 1/10 scale, and it's pretty sizable. So if you're gonna get this, you're probably gonna want to put it in a display case. So I know a lot of people are probably gonna have an issue with this car for one reason, and that is because the stripe doesn't fade, just like in the original movie. So a lot of people were pointing out inaccuracies with this particular model, is that the livery is not quite right. It doesn't really fade like it did on screen. But as you can see, the wheels are right. You have a lot of detail in the front. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any opening pieces on this, which really, really sucks. Because if there was like opening pieces to this, I think it would really, really be awesome. So you can't like you can't fit a figure in this, which is just really unfortunate. But yeah, you have all of this from the movie. A really detailed interior as well. You have the NOS bottles in the passenger side. You have the defroster. This is a very detailed piece, but for those of you who actually want to have an openable hood or doors or even a trunk, you're not going to get it here. There's no light up features. There is. They don't even really show underneath the car, so I believe the underneath might be detailed because the other two 118 scales were very detailed. You got the Brembo brakes, and you got the 15. Oh, I don't even know what brand wheels those are. Uh, it seems like everything is branded. Like everything has. You got the Toyota tires. You have. So I believe this car is very accurate to the screen version with all of these logos. So that is cool. Um, so this is $350. It says it's on sale. I don't know if that's correct. So this is STM diecast. So I want to say something. Uh, I'm gonna provide you guys a link to the Kyosho website where you can find a dealer, a diecast dealer, so that way you guys can buy your diecast from whatever dealer you prefer. Because this is just a website that I found, STM diecast. You guys can go to other websites. There's also like Acme diecast as well. Um, so I'll leave a link down in the description so that way you guys can go click on it and you can find what store has it in stock. Because right now these are all pre-orders. You can even add a display case, which is pretty cool. But yeah, these are expected in the third quarter of 2026. So this is probably going to be like really early fall, maybe late summer. But yeah, no, this this is awesome to have a 112 scale. But like I said, the downside is that there's just no opening pieces. There's no opening doors. There's no opening hood. It doesn't look like there's any uh, on this and through the pictures, unless there is. Then that's a different story. But I'm looking at this car and like the doors look like they're sealed completely shut. Maybe you can modify this to have opening doors. I know the modding community is very creative, but for the average Joe Schmo like yo boy, it's not really gonna happen. So it just looks like this is just more so a showpiece for you to have in your display case, just for it to sit there. You can't have like an action figure in there or anything like that. It's just more so just for show, which is fine. I mean, most of my cars in my display case are just for show as well. I don't really open them up, play with them. It's just for show. So yeah, that is the Kyosho Fast and Furious uh, line. I showed you the Supra, the Charger, and the Skyline. So I would like to pick up both the Supra and the Charger, but that is very expensive. And there's like a lot of good stuff that's coming out, not just for Hot Wheels, but for 164 diecast. So I'm going to keep my eyes open for that. I'm going to explore the world. I think 2026 is going to be a great year for diecast. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.